This is the wrap-up session, huh? We get a chance to summarize exactly what this all amounts to, all this dust, dirt, depravity, and spatial complexity.
David Hammons' Day's End is based on a piece by Gordon Matta-Clark that was made in 1975, which was also called Day's End. It is literally built on the footings of the original Day's End that was torn down 40 years ago. And it is the exact, precise dimensions to the inches of what that original building was.
Gordon Matta-Clark was this remarkable artist who was making work in the 1970s, really internationally recognized figure, known for ambitious interventions. He started, though, with things that would be embedded in the street that could come across very similar to how Hammons started some of his earlier works. There's sort of this shared sensibility between them of understanding the very social structure is what was worthy of being mined and explored and intervened in.
You had this word for it, monument, like a non-monument, monument. See, it's like typical Gordon.
This is a sculpture made out of a large found material, a piece of architecture, and an engagement with that, and an intervention in that space. And I see that also happening with David Hammons' Day's End. Its whole reality is based on this found material of this past.
The area below 14th Street, that goes all the way down to where the World Trade Center buildings used to be, was part of the world's largest port from the beginning of the 20th century to the middle of the 20th century. It fascinates me that something that was so indicative of modernity and of globalization, if you will, and technology in the 20th century could become obsolete and really turn into ruins. Several amazing artists made art in these spaces because they were open and available, including, of course, Gordon Matta-Clark at Pier 52, which was also a particular place where lots of gay people would hang out on the piers and sunbathe and have sex. And it could be a kind of communal place.
We often think of piers as these kind of flat, open spaces, but in fact, this was a built pier because it had a role to play in the manufacturing and shipping scene of New York City. And Gordon went into this site and began to cut into it.
Gordon made 5 cuts. Some were actually on the floor, so you would see the rippling of the water underneath. There were cuts where you could see the sky, and there were cuts out across towards the river.
By the time I got there, Gordon had already cut the eye or the front, dropped that down. And then literally for 2.5 months, every day, chainsaws, oxyacetylene torches, the noise you couldn't believe. It was like total anarchy. It was totally illegal, right? No, we didn't have a permit, we took it over. You feel the mass of the emptiness. Like the same way that you would feel the mass of the structure. Gordon was always talking about how architects contain space, divvy it up and contain it. And he basically was interested in opening up space. Total opposite. Revealing it. I mean, that's what he was doing. He was carving architecture, which is a fantastic idea.
I never was in Gordon Matta-Clark Day's End, but from the photographs, I always flash back on the great rosette window at Chartres Cathedral. And you're sitting in this dark cathedral space, and you look up, and there is the light, big and round above you.
To go into this relic, this thing to be cast away or forgotten, and reimagine it. I feel like Hammons shares that sense entirely.
Of course, we mourn Gordon Matta-Clark, who died as a young man of cancer in '78. And Day's End was torn down in 1979.
It was a very personal project, a very kind of unimaginable project.
Gordon was always about that, really trying to get joy, the maximum amount of joy out of anything.